that sweet boy's sick body lying there in his hospital bed. He had to weigh less than 110 pounds by this point, the cancer like a sick worm having tunneled its way through him and leaving a shell behind. His thighs were the size of my forearm, and the skin grafts they had taken from them to cover the gaping wound on his back was revolting. I was only 16 that year, the year my friend died, and it left a mark on me, an impression. For I got to experience what death is, what it does, the hurt it leaves behind, the pain it causes. Wendell was only a year older than I, but I had met him through a school function. He was a Mennonite, and the day I met him, he was sitting at a table close to mine. We were facing in each other's direction, and we both kept stealing glances and exchanging shy smiles. Now, I don't know if things have changed for the dress code of a Mennonite, but back then, the males could not wear ties. They had to wear suspenders. I think they felt it was a big arrow to wear a tie pointing down to the cock that was hidden beneath their trousers, but don't quote me on that. But that day, Wendell was sitting there fumbling with a snap on them, and suddenly it popped off, and as fate or luck would have it, the shiny metal piece landed right near me, as if it were a homing beacon. Our eyes met, and I saw his blushing face, and suddenly a peal of laughter came from my mouth. He joined in after a split second, and sheepishly got up to retrieve part of his wardrobe. Tentatively, he sat down, and we began to talk, exchanging names and generalities. We were both here to compete in various areas, ranging from music and academics to sports and drama. We only had a few days together, but we were joined at the hip, never actually touching, but it was as if our bodies were tethered by an invisible line. When the award ceremony was completed, sad goodbyes were said and promises of letters and maybe even a summer visit were planned out. Then separate roads were traveled, separate lives were lived, and time passed. His first letter arrived as promised, filled with the young boy's hope and love. My dad, of course, read it and gave his approval of certain points and displeasure in others. I carefully wrote him back, unsure of how to respond, so screwed up was my idea of love. And the letters came and went, but instead of letting him in like I wish I would have, I shut him out. His last letter, his goodbye to me, is painful to think about, knowing that my messed up mind caused him such pain. A few months passed, and I was pushing him back further into my thoughts, shelving him away with my memories like an already read book, when a letter with his familiar scrawl across the envelope came. On the outside of it, he had written the words, "Please read me." If I had known what was coming, I would have still read it, but I would have never stopped writing to begin with. I closed myself up in the bathroom and shakily opened it, the sheet of notebook paper unfolding in my hands. It was a simple note, really, one of hurt, words from a person who needed a friend. He was dying at the age of 17 of a nasty cancer called neurofibrosarcoma, and his parents were bringing him to a hospital in a city not too far from me, and he wanted me to come and visit him. And so my dad would drive me to see him, and he would lie there in pain, and I would stand there at his side, unsure of what to do, what to say. I hope he knew that I loved him in my own way. I really did. I wish I could have shown him what real love is, how it feels, but I was clueless. I wish I could have made love to him, even though it would have been awkward, as first times always are. His lips, soft and light pink, meeting my own in a first sweet kiss, reveling in the feelings that our bodies were experiencing. He would never know what it felt like to have a woman's breast pressed against his chest, to experience that first sensation of an erection pressing deep into her wetness. He would never smell the unique scent of arousal, never taste the nectar of a woman so turned on by him. He would never know what it was like to conceive a baby and later hold it in his arms. He died that summer. The call from his parents was painful. Hearing the brokenness in their voices shattered my heart again. They say they left his room as he left it, almost a shrine to his memory. And I wished that I could curl up on his bed. I wished I could smell his blanket, cradle his pillow, anything tangible that had his imprint on it. But he was gone from my life and from those around him. Sometimes when I am in a store and I see a pair of suspenders, I grow wistful and think of him and who he was. An unkissed Mennonite boy, my first love.